Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Alya Izwandi and I'm going to discuss about inflection in morphology. So what elements we're going to discuss is the first one is, of course, what is inflection? And then regular and irregular inflection, and then forms of nouns, forms of pronouns and determiners, forms of verbs, and also forms of adjectives. So what is inflection? Let's examine this following sentence. The first one is the pianist performs in the local cafe every month. The second, the pianist performed in the local cafe last night. The third, the performance was extraordinary. And then we're going to examine. The first one, the words performs, performed, and performance belong to the same root, which is perform. However, the word performs and performed in sentence 1 and 2 belong to the same word, which is verb. The word class is verb. And then the word performance in sentence 3, on other hand, belongs to the different word class, which is noun. So what happens in sentence 1 and 2 is the process of word formation called inflection. This is the research about inflection. Inflection doesn't not change the word class or part of speech on meaning words. Instead, inflection is grammatically conditioned. You guys can read from that PowerPoint. And then in sentence 1, the suffix strip as is added to the root because of being grammatically conditioned by the third person singular subject, which is the pianist. And then in sentence 2, the suffix ed, strip ed, is added to the root to express past tense. What happens in sentence 3 is the process word formation called derivation. We're not going to discuss it because we have inflectional. So this one is the structure. Regular and irregular inflection: cats, guitars, hats, tables, chairs, doors, and windows. You guys can see what happened to that word. Adding suffix s to a noun root is the regular method of forming plural. You guys know what is plural is. And this is one: mice, children, women, thieves, oxen, men, knives are regular plural forms of are allomorphs. Went, better, worse are irregular inflection forms of go, went, go, better, good, worse, bad. Suppletion versus allomorph. Root and allomorph, that we're going to discuss it later. And allomorph has a similar phonemes as it roots. And then forms of nouns. Inflection in nouns expresses grammatical category, which is number. Regular forms adding the suffix strip as. Also irregular forms, allophones, zero suffix like deer, fish, and also sheep. Forms of pronouns and determiners. Open class, which is nouns, adjective, verbs, and adverbs, and determiners. Nouns display a singular plural contrast. Pronouns combine a singular plural contrast with contrast unique to them between the subject and non-subject verbs. You guys can see. And also this one for the forms of verbs. In English, a verb lexeme has at most 5 distinct forms, as illustrated here with give. Third person singular present tense. For example, Mary gives a lecture every year. Second, past tense. For example, Mary gave a lecture last week. The third, progressive participle. For example, Mary is giving a lecture today. Third, perfect or passive participle. Mary has given a lecture today. And the last basic form used everywhere else. Mary wants to give a lecture. The last one is forms of adjective. Many English adjectives exhibit the three forms. For example, green here. Grass is green. The grass is greener now than in winter. The third, the grass is greenest in early summer. All right, everyone. I think that's all. We can conclusion from the inflectional. Inflectional is a process of word formation by adding suffixes without changing the class of word. It only depends on grammar matter. I think that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.